You know what it is. South Florida Ave, episode 9. You know what it is. You know where we at. You know what we do. Mick! What
What's
up,
up,
big bro?
Vic? Chilling, man. Chilling. How you doing, brother?
Amazing, man. What can I say? Ain't nothing changed since last week. So, dang, man, to God be the glory. But
Amen,
anyway,
brother. Blessed.
how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Blessed. Highly favored, bro. Happy to be here. Happy to chop it up with you. Happy to be doing another show for the people here on South Florida Ave. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Week 8. Week 9. Week 8. NFL football.
Yeah.
Last week, what you got? Give me a rundown.
Last week. Oh, I'll give you a quick rundown about last week. First of all, we took it on the chin. We'll get over that real quickly. The Bucks took.
Wait, I'm sorry,
L
I ain't hear it.
Yeah.
Can you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Took an L. You know, guys. Josh Allen out there doing Josh Allen things.
Yeah.
We were on the road in Buffalo, and just from a football perspective, happy to see Josh Allen get back into the groove of things. Unfortunately, it happened against my Buccaneers. I wasn't happy about that, but I am going to give credit where credit is due. Josh Allen looked good. The team looked good. They were moving the ball up and down the field. Offense looked good. Defense looked good, like Buffalo Bills. So first things first, we did take an L. I recognize that. We're going to move on. Continuing with the rest of the season or the rest of the football week, last week, I wanted to start off with, let's just address the elephant in the room here, brother.
But there's an elephant? All right.
Yeah, there is. Your guy, a.k.a. Jordan Mahomes, went out there to Denver, and Sean Payton, your old coach, him and Russell Wilson were able to get a win against the Chiefs. What do you got to say about the Broncos beating the Chiefs last Sunday?
And I'm done. Move on to the next subject.
That was not
nothing, bro. Come on, man.
Know that Patrick Mahomes was not feeling well? Are you aware that Patrick Mahomes was under the weather?
No. Even more so of a reason to not even talk about this game then, right? You said it. We're talking about Jordan Mahomes, which is, let's just be clear, folks. I know I'm not the only person in America saying this. The Chiefs go as Jordan Mahomes goes. You take this guy out of the game, the Chiefs are a below average football team. With Jordan Mahomes in the game, you're a Super Bowl contender, back-to-back champs, all those things. So if he's not feeling well, the team's not going to feel well. They're not going to play well. At the same time, I think that's, in my opinion, that's enough to be said about the Chiefs. When we move on to the Broncos, you ain't really saying nothing. They won a game finally in Sean Payton's career and finally in Russell Wilson's career. Okay, moving on. What are they going to do next week versus a lesser opponent, not the Chiefs? I believe if I was a betting man, I'll say they're going to take another L. What you got?
I don't know. I think the reason why this is interesting is because we know that the Broncos played the Chiefs very tough the first time they played. I think they only won by 7 or 9 points. It was a close game, you know. So I think the Broncos thought they did well against Kansas City, and I think that this being the second time they're playing the season, they're coming to Denver. I think the Broncos thought they had Kansas City's number. So for them to have beaten Kansas City, whether it's arbitrarily or not, because Patrick Mahomes is not feeling his best, you know what a W can do for a team. So what I'm saying is that this wouldn't be interesting with the way Denver started their season if Sean Payton was somehow able to turn this around. Like, wouldn't that make the most interesting story of the football season? If we start talking about this team in late January as if they're going to be making moves in the playoffs, for them to start off the way they started and to be possibly maybe, again, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying all this is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of things that have to happen for this to take place. But it looked really good, and I said maybe this is them turning the corner. Maybe. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. I'm saying maybe.
Okay, well, I want to know if you're bold enough. Is this officially your grenade of the day?
It's not a grenade at all. I'm just no. Everything I say doesn't have to be a grenade. I'm just giving you my analysis on the game. We're talking about the Chiefs and Broncos and why the Broncos are relevant right now. I was saying, hey, They played the Chiefs really tough the first time. This is the second time they played. They got a W. Maybe they're turning a corner. That's all I'm saying.
My question was relatively rhetorical because the truth is I don't. It's kind of a grenade to go on the edge to say that the Broncos are turning something around right now from one W that they took. I mean, against I don't care who it is, realistically. I mean, unless it was the Oakland Raiders, it's kind of a surprise. So I guess we'll have to revisit this, bro, once they get another W on their resume. Then I think it's worth potentially entertaining. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I think we both ultimately are rooting for Russell Wilson to do well.
Sure.
We're also relatively rooting for Sean Payton to do well.
Sure.
But I don't know why their chemistry is so terrible right now as a team and as just offense together. But I can't even really entertain that, especially with so much other exciting football going on in the NFL right now. I don't think I want to waste my time talking about them.
Again,
So
you don't have to feel like it's
stuff.
Bro, you don't have to feel like it's a waste of time. It's just you're giving your analysis on this particular team. You can give it or not give it. We can move on or we can stay on it. If you're like, hey, I don't want to talk about these guys because they suck, cool. That's your analysis on it. That's just what it is. That's what it is, bro. We'll keep it moving. It's all good. So, yes, Broncos, Chiefs, cool. What about the other big game of the weekend? I thought big game. Bengals, 49ers. Vic, we've seen Brock Purdy now take his third loss in a row. It was just 2 or 3 episodes on this same show that we were just talking about how Brock Purdy had suffered no losses in the regular season. Now, all of a sudden, he suffered 3 losses back-to-back. 49ers looks like they're on a skid. Meanwhile, it looks like the Bengals have righted the ship because Joe Burrow is looking like the Joe Burrow from 2 years ago. He's looking like the Joe Burrow that took them to the Super Bowl now. So you got 2 teams going in 2 different directions. The Bengals were down and the 49ers were up. And now you can honestly say that those roles have reversed, have flipped. What do you think about the game on Sunday?
Well, bro, I would have to say that we both can say we told you so on this one. And we need to tell the fans once again and the folks out there, you heard it here first on South Florida app. We tried to tell Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers, this is not an L you could take here. This is a big game for you guys. And both of these seasons could be turning around from this game alone versus in a head-to-head matchup. And unfortunately, it looks like the 49ers are sliding. I'm hesitant to go as far as saying that the Bengals are thriving right now. I'm still not a believer. I'm still not bought into it at the moment. But, hey, we still are talking about the Cincinnati Bengals who've been playing well for the last couple of years. And they had the opportunity, realistically, to really right the ship and be talked about again as the AFC champs or potentially in the AFC championship game. So still to be determined. The Ravens are still riding out and doing their thing. So it'll be interesting, but I think this is more of a conversation or a highlight of what's going on in San Francisco versus what's going on in Cincinnati at the moment. And that's something to be worried about, San Francisco fans. What do you think?
I agree with what you're saying. I know that Debo has been out these last 3 games. Maybe that has something to do with it. I also know that the 49ers, to me, I've actually had the privilege of watching these last 3 games. It's funny because living in Florida, 49ers somehow must be popular because we're getting all their games now. So I've seen these last 3 games, and it seems like as between the first game and the third game, I feel like Brock Purdy has been asked to do more and more. Like, I feel like the first time I watched him, it was a lot of Christian McCaffrey and very little Brock Purdy. Second game, still some Christian McCaffrey, but a lot of Brock Purdy. And in this game, they're asking Brock to do a lot. So I feel like the strategy has changed around the team a little bit. And because of that, you're asking Brock to do more. As a result, it's resulted in 3 straight losses. I expect the coach to get that rectified for the 49ers. I mean, because this is all about scheme. This is all about him running a certain system. So I'm assuming they're going to rectify that. But right now, you're right. One team's going up and one team's going down. And you wouldn't expect it to be the Bengals on the up and the 49ers on the down with the way the season started. So, yeah. All right, moving on. Next game. Last week, we got 2 more games. Want to talk about this one before we get to the next game. This one is because it was the battle of the rookies, and we had the Texans versus the Panthers. Panthers beat the Texans. Talking about a losing streak all of a sudden. What do you think about Panthers? What do you think about Bryce Young getting the win over CJ Stroud?
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams probably got caught up in that hype, right? And maybe Texas got a little starstruck, maybe. A lot riding on this one, rookie head to head. A lot for CJ Stroud to be excited about. A lot for Bryce Young to be excited about too. He has something to prove that game, especially seeing how they got the worst record right now, and he's a better pick per se.
That's what they say.
So, I mean, I think that the Panthers they're going to catch some W's. When we say the term catch, we always end up with an L, right? But they're going to get some W's along the way. I mean, I think the Panthers are set up to be relatively successful over time. I thought they would win a lot more games early, but I think they'll be okay. They're not going to win the NFC South. Well,
who knows about our division? Who knows about our division? Don't say that, because the minute you say they're not going to win it, bro, you know how this division.
Let me stay away from that.
Yeah,
but Texans. Hey, man, I think they're like a team that I know we're going to talk about later. They're overachievers at this point, so I don't think they have anything to lose. I think they have a solid foundation that they can build upon. So the fact that they lost to the Panthers is not mind blowing. It's not shocking. Yeah. I think they'll be okay. And they're not even in the division. So,
yeah, I agree with all that. I think this was really more about the showcase of the future. Honestly, bro, I think this game on Sunday was less about who won the game and more about, hey, we're probably looking at the two future faces of our league. You got two up and coming quarterbacks, really good players. We can pretty much call them pretty good players right now. Both charming young men, both going to be really good contracts. No reason why both of these young men can't be the face of the NFL for years to come. So this is more about a display of the future. And what I can say about this, again, we don't know much about the young men, but just from what I could tell from where they carry themselves, Vic, they're humble, they're respectful. They seem like they both have a very good head on their shoulders. The NFL should be happy to have these two young men in the league, and the future's bright for both of them. So I can't wait to see what both of them do. I'm excited for both of their futures. I can't wait to see what happens. So it's more about a future display about what's going to happen in the future than what happened on Sunday, but still awesome to see the future happening right now. So good game.
Coupled with their personalities, I think it's something to be said about the fact that for the first time in a very long time, we've seen two first-round high draft pick quarterbacks step in as rookies, not even in their second year, as rookies, and actually play well for their team. They're not actually sinking their team and destroying their team. Bryce Young, not as much as CJ Stroud right now, but at least they're actually playing well, and their presence is being felt on the field as rookies, straight out of preseason, starting. It's the first time in a long time that we've seen something like that, and I'm happy.
Yeah, you know what, bro, and kudos to you, bro. Let me give you your props real quick, bro. That's a great point. Like, I can't remember the last time we, especially this high profile. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you'll have somebody that comes under the radar. They're like, oh, this kid came in through training camp, but not when you come straight out of the draft, all eyes on you, go to training camp, you QB1. You start day one, QB1, and now you're like, your team is winning games and you're not the reason why you're losing games. That's a great point, Vic. Like, for these guys to come into this situation and basically be NFL ready. Kudos to Ohio State. Kudos to Alabama, because you come into the NFL after coming to the combine and you go straight into, summer league or what's it, preseason, and you're going into 2 days and you're QB1. And you go to preseason QB1 and you start in the regular season QB1, that's pretty impressive. You're right, bro. Kudos to both of those. Shout out to them indeed. You're right. And a good example for that, just for everybody else who's thinking maybe like that recently, would be Zach Zach Morris. I was gonna call him Zach Morris.
Wilson.
Zach Wilson
Zach Morris.
with the Jets.
Zach Morris.
That's your guy. With the Jets, because he was the same thing. High profile guy. They drafted him. He went to training camp.
Perfect
he went out to the season, started the year. I think he won his first game. And after that, he lost the rest of the games. And they were like, get him out of there. He's a bum. So all this stuff. So yeah, great example. So boom. All right. Last game of last weekend, real quick. We got to talk about Atlanta and Tennessee. Here's why we're talking about Atlanta and Tennessee. Here's why.
Yeah.
Will Levis started the game. And I don't know if you knew that D-Hop was on Tennessee, because I didn't know they had DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't know DeAndre Hopkins was on the Tennessee Titans. So that lets you know where my reaction is. Like, I'm looking at my phone getting alerts talking about D-Hop for a bomb. I'm like, what? I didn't even know he played for Tennessee. So that's why we're talking about this game. What? First of all, is Ryan Tannehill going to get his job back?
No. Easy answer. Bro, well, Ryan Tannehill should have never had his job in the first place. So why are we talking about this man getting his job back? Are you – listen, man, other than the people who wrote out the contract for Ryan Tannehill, I think everybody else have been waiting for anybody to step in and take this dude's place. So coaching staff, you got your answer. Tennessee Titans fans, you got your answer. Fantasy football players, you got your answer. King Henry, you got your answer. Defense, you got your answer. Now, can he sustain it? To be determined, but it's not hard to do what Ryan Tannehill has done, and it shouldn't be too hard to do a lot better than that.
We're going to see. It was an exciting game. Will Levis got to start throwing bombs. The D-Hop, it was – I know DeAndre Hopkins must feel like it was old times, because I can't remember the last time I saw him come across my ticker for a highlight. So – and to think that Tennessee's throwing bombs, it was such an oxymoron. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought I was misreading something, because I didn't expect, Tennessee Titans to be throwing deep to anyone. So all of this was an anomaly. I thought it was amazing. I can't wait to see what happens. And speaking of rookies coming into situations, Will Levis, he too was one of those rookies that was drafted in this draft, and they were expecting big things from him, and he got an opportunity, and he showed out on Sunday. So, like you say, to be determined, we'll see. But hey, I'm happy they beat Atlanta too. So, thumbs up.
Me too.
All the way around. That's it for last week. Do you want to do NFL this week? Let's do NFL this week, and then we'll just finish with college. So,
let's do it. We're already on it.
This week. Let's do it. Exciting times. Let's go right into it right now. I'm going to I don't know if it's the game of the week for you. I don't know, but it is the game this week. It's the first game this week, and it's Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. So we're going to get a chance to see Will Levis, the guy we were just talking about, to see if this was an anomaly, see if it was a fluke, versus a Steelers team who we think, that we know, not to mess with Mike Tomlin, although they caught an L last week, but they caught an L to a team that I have been high on in this channel since the channel began, since we started doing this. I told you from day one that Jacksonville Jaguars was not to be messed with, and they're not a team to be messed with. They're a really good football team. Offensively, defensively, special teams, where you can go to Pittsburgh and beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. It's not a joke. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee does with these Steelers. The Steelers want to get back from that loss. Tennessee's on a high, throwing bombs. The D-Hop. Thursday night's game is going to be a good game.
Yeah, now listen, and at the same time, I think you just highlighted something really huge, right? Because I think before last week, Jacksonville owned their division, hands down. It was theirs to lose. And what you said was, now in the midst of that, they beat a really good Steelers team that has been resilient all year long and overachieving. They have been clearly overachieving as a football team, the Steelers, that is. Now, Jacksonville humbles them. Tennessee has to go in and do the same thing, not only to show how good they are, not only to prove themselves against a really good Steelers football team, but to send a message back to Jacksonville that they're still there. So this game has way more implications than it just being a Thursday night game between two conference, opponents. Realistically, huge stakes for all those teams involved, including the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are at home eating popcorn. Because the reality is, the one thing you highlighted is that you don't expect Tennessee to throw bombs. Well, they have every opportunity to do so when you got a guy like King Henry in the backfield. If you're not putting 8 men in the box, you're going to have 200 yards rush on you on the ground from this man without breaking a sweat. So all they have to do is throw it a little high, a little accurately, and you got a guy like Hopkins sprinting down the field who's going to outrun everybody in the first place. They should be throwing bombs, bro. So it's going to be real interesting to see if they go away from that and start trying to do something different, or if this is going to be the term in basketball is 3 and D. Is this going to be a deep ball and run the ball type situation in Tennessee? To be determined.
Listen, I know one thing. With that formula, Tennessee Titan football, the sound of it sounds way more interesting now to watch. I really am looking forward to watching Tennessee. It's just, you know what they're doing. It's going to be run King Henry up the middle, King Henry to the right, King Henry to the left, try to play some defense, kick a field goal. That's not exciting, bro. Now, if you're throwing bombs, yeah, I want to see what's going to happen with that. And I want to see what Pittsburgh's going to do against that. So, should be an exciting game. Very exciting.
Super exciting.
Excited to see it.
I agree.
Yes. Next game, probably just as exciting, but it is in London at 9:30 a.m. kickoff. Chiefs, Dolphins. What do you think?
Yeesh.
First of all, can we talk about how the Dolphins and Chiefs game is in London? Can we talk about that first and foremost? What is your thoughts on that?
Why not?
Okay, you're good with it. Good. Okay. What do you think about the game?
I'm actually now that you reiterate it after I said it. Maybe that's not the best game to have in London. Maybe that's kind of
what I was asking you. That's what I'm getting at.
I need the fans at the game for that game. That's kind of
you robbing Miami or Kansas City fans for an opportunity to really have some home field advantage. For this is a big game. I don't know, schedule wise.
In fairness,
too many more bigger games than this on the season. So
correct.
I'm listening.
In fairness,
yes.
The NFL did not anticipate for the Miami Dolphins to be playing like the Miami Dolphins.
Victor, I'm gonna have to push back on that one because I think the reason why the Dolphins and Chiefs are playing in London is because they are the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I think the NFL thought that the Dolphins were going to be good because they looked good last year. Plus, Vic, this is the first time Tyreek is going against the Chiefs since he's been traded. And you put the game in London. I don't know if I like this. Personally, from an American fan standpoint, this should be Sunday night football. This should be Monday night football. This should be
definitely not 9:30 in the morning.
9:30 in London, bro. 9:30 a.m.
I'm gonna miss half of that game.
Wow, bro. That's wild. I mean, and I got it for Atlanta and Jacksonville, but Atlanta and Jacksonville should be a London game. Dolphins Chiefs. That ain't no London game.
Got it wrong.
Y'all wilding with this one. This should be Sunday night, Monday night at worse, the 4:30 game on Sunday. Y'all wilding with this one. But hey, it's gonna be a good game.
How they're not.
I guess I'll see the box score.
Well, but seeing how they're not gonna play again either. Like they're one and done for this year. So until the playoffs, right? If they see each other in the playoffs.
If they might have been exactly. Yeah, man, this is a bad. The scheduling wise, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that NFL. Ridiculous. So I digress. Anyways, next game. What we got? Man, you know what, Vic? Actually,
before we move on, that was a perfect opportunity. Huge game. The fans are not going to be able to enjoy it as much. So we got to go ahead and go on the record then. So who you got then?
Okay, good. That's a good point. I am going to go with the Oh my gosh. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs in London.
That's a tough one for me. This is a
going with
really,
Dolphins.
really, really tough one. You know, I would go, listen, all right, I'm going to say, and again, we don't do this for the sake of just going against each other, but I'm going to go against you this week. But I'll give some context to why. As much as I think that the Kansas City secondary is in trouble.
Oh boy. That's the first thing I thought about when you said who you got. That's the first thing my brain matched up. I said Tyreek Hill. I'm like, who gonna cover him? Waddle. Bro.
As much as I think they're in trouble, this game is literally on the back of Jordan and Pippen this game. Who's Pippen? Chris Jones. Because we're still talking about, listen, Waddle and Tyreek, man, your secondary is out of gas. But your quarterback has to get it there. And if you can strike fear into my man Tua,
that's a good point.
Once you rattle him, bro, I mean, he starts having flashbacks.
Yeah.
You can kind of change the game a little bit. And then if you have somebody on the other end who's like has that killer instinct mentality, which would be Jordan Mahomes, who's going to take advantage of it. Because of that experience, I'm putting my money on Chris Jones, Scottie Pippen, and Jordan Mahomes, my man Jordan Mahomes. And
I wouldn't expect anything less. I wouldn't expect anything less. I would assume you would have went with Jordan Mahomes. You have to go with Jordan Mahomes. It makes sense. Honestly, this week, this week's games are really good. Like, surprisingly, when we were looking at the schedule, I was like, because last week's games were so bad. Maybe that's why this week's games look so good. Yeah. But this week is so many good games. And another one that maybe on paper you wouldn't think it's going to sound. We'll start with this one. This one's going to be good because I'm going to say two names that you know very well. Cowboys and Eagles.
Listen, comments? Man, I think I have some. Just a few, though. I think you highlighted something more important than the Cowboys and Eagles right now, which is the rest of the NFL and the way it's shaping up right now. I think I was just going to say when you were saying that, I think we chose a perfect season to start this off, bro, because it's been a long time since the season has shifted so quickly from week to week in the NFL and been so competitive top to bottom, where the Panthers are winning against a team they probably shouldn't have won against. And I mean, we can say that all day long, including the Vikings, who we don't know where they're at right now, but they started
in a terrible place.
Yeah, they started in a terrible place, right? And now there might be something to talk about. Like barbecue and field is a real thing this year, and it's changing from week to week. Going full circle, which is why I don't think the Cowboys or Eagles are that much to talk about, because I think the Eagles are still going to be the Eagles. They've been one of the most, if not the most consistent team in the NFL, and the Cowboys has been one of the most, if not the most inconsistent team in the NFL. So I'm not going to change my tune down about those Cowboys. When they start, I can't say anything about the Cowboys until they meet the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. Then we'll have something to talk about.
I'm gonna say this. I feel like the Cowboys need this game. I feel like after the beating that the 49ers put on them a couple of weeks back, they've been on a roll since that beating. You know, it's like they felt like they made a mistake or they hit a speed bump when they got to the 49ers. Now they feel like they've kind of corrected that ship, right? Now, if they go in here and get knocked upside the head against the Eagles, I think that can do tremendous detriment to their confidence as a team. I think the Cowboys need this game. I think they need it for themselves to know that they can get past this hump. And they also need it to know because if they really want to make it to the playoffs, they got to go through Philadelphia Eagles. And they realize that. And I think this is a good testament for them early in the season to say, hey, we ain't going to play little brother to you guys no more. We've been on a roll. We took that L from 49ers, but now we got our stuff together. We're going to come in here and take care of business. I think this is a big game for the Cowboys. We'll see.
You got to dominate your division. You're really at the stake of being like a wild card team every single year right now. And that's never a good position to be in when you're a Cowboy team, especially in the NFC East out of all things. Yeah, you got to dominate the Eagles. And like they are They got your number right now. So
They
good
got your
luck
number,
to
yeah.
them.
They're big brother. They're big bro, and you're a little bro. So big game. It'll be a great statement win if the Cowboys were able to beat the Eagles. That'll send the Eagles having to rethink some things. The Cowboys will feel like they're on a high. But if the Cowboys take an L to the Eagles again, I think that's going to hurt their confidence tremendously.
And if
Moving
I'm
on.
being fair to and if I'm being fair to the Cowboys, you really can't change your season on this game alone.
You can.
So,
I think it'll be a big game if the Cowboys were to win this. If people are talking different, the whole scenario flips if the Cowboys win this game. So
absolutely.
Another game that I want to talk about before we get to the last game, which is this game, and it's Vikings Falcons. Here's why. We know why we want to talk about Falcons because they're in the division. I'm hoping they're going to catch another L. Here's the other reason why I want to talk about the game. The Vikings. Oh my gosh, what is Minnesota doing? All of a sudden, the Minnesota Vikings look like a team that wants to win. Justin Jefferson is not there. This is the saddest part about everything, bro. I don't know if you know, but Kirk Cousins did. Oh, okay. So he's out now for the year. And when I tell you Kirk Cousins was on a roll, they was passing the ball all around. The running backs was catching passes. The receivers was catching passes. The defense was flying around. There was no Justin Jefferson. There was winning games. They won last week. They won the week before. Man, Minnesota looked like they were turning this corner. This again, why this season is so interesting. Like you were saying, we're getting these roller coaster rides from not just the season, but from teams. You got a team starting off really bad and now coming on with 3-4 games in a row. You're like, how? And the Vikings was on that list. You saw them excelling. You saw them doing what they're doing. Kirk Cousins, again, I'm not trying to make it sound more than what it was, but Kirk Cousins was playing lights out, Vic. I mean, this man is throwing the ball all around the field to different receivers, and now he's hurt. So it's a big blow to Minnesota to lose their quarterback like that for a team that was clearly on a roll. And now they're playing the Falcons team, who also, Vic, lost their quarterback last week. They put in their backup outside of Desmond Ridder, he actually had a really good game. I think he went 12 for 22, almost 100 and something yards. He had a touchdown. So he came in relief for Desmond Ridder in the Tennessee game and played pretty well. So we don't know who's starting for Minnesota. We don't know who's starting for Atlanta. But these are two teams that are trying to get W's, and it's going to turn out to be an interesting game on Sunday. I can't wait to watch it. That was Vikings Falcons. Last one. Bills Bengals.
Huge implications for the Bengals.
Wow.
More than the Bills.
Yeah.
Because the Bengals could actually come out feeling as cocky as their quarterback, Joe Burrows, is hyped up to be for the rest of the year. The Bills can't let that happen.
Exactly. If you're Buffalo, right, you can't let that happen. You can't let Joe Burrow turn to Joe Cool. You can't let him do it against you. Now he's confident. If he see y'all in the playoffs, he's going to be laughing at y'all because he's like, I got y'all, boys. This is the guy you don't want to lose to. Joe Burrow's that guy. You know what I mean? Like, you don't like him unless he's your teammate. You know what I mean? Because they're telling you, like, look at this dude. But if he on your team,
I couldn't.
Yeah, we up, baby. We up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, hey, man, Josh Allen, don't let this man own you right now, bro. Josh Allen, dude, this man own you, bro. What you gonna do, Josh Allen?
You listen. There's, like I said, I don't think there's anything else to be said about that one. The Bills can't let it happen. The Bengals need it. You talked about what's interesting and happening in the NBA this year, which is the in-season tournaments. This is about as close as you get to it in football.
This is exciting.
So,
this is Bills Bengals Sunday night. This is dope.
I mean, no, man, it's not. To recap, like you said, it's Bills Bengals, it's Eagles Vikings. I'm sorry, it's Eagles.
No,
Eagles,
Bills Bengals, Cowboys, Eagles, Bills Bengals. It's crazy out here, man.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Tennessee, Steelers. And if you want to throw just a consolation game in there to keep it interesting, like a warm-up game, then you got the Vikings and Falcons to be interested in. Good football this week. It's going to be real interesting. Like I said, we're going to go with in-season tournament football this week. That's going to be the title of this one.
I like it.
But, yeah, bro.
All right. That's it for NFL. We're done. NCAA. Last week, we can wrap this up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All my teams could listen, man. All my teams took an L last week, man. My Buccaneers took an L. My Gators took it on the chin to the Georgia Bulldogs, man. Listen, I was out of it. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. When we lose like that on Saturday, I tend to not watch too many more college football games. I got to just catch them highlights because I don't be in a mood to be watching the games no much anymore after we lose like that. So I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all boys. So let me see. Caught an L last week. Anything else we want to talk about last week's games? Anything interest you, broski?
Last week was boring.
Oh, last week. No, well, there was one thing. Colorado,
There was.
UCLA. And it's not even about the game, unfortunately. UCLA won the game, but Colorado lost more than just the game, bro. Apparently, Colorado's players' jewelry was stolen out of the locker room while they were at UCLA.
You don't think? Is that possible?
Thoughts on that?
So, what type of jewelry?
You would think it's not possible.
We talk about some hollow
Whatever they
gold
had
ropes?
with them.
Or we talk about some
No,
diamond
broski,
platinum
we're talking-
chains that they rock that I see on the field. Oh,
Yeah,
'cause
bro.
last
Like
time I
the
checked-
NIL money.
Oh, NIL
NIL
money
money
jewelry
is real, bro. So
Did they play in Colorado?
That jewelry's real.
In Los Angeles.
they played in Los Angeles, Inglewood.
Somebody better tell them this is not the internet and it's real life out there. So
Real
you
life.
don't think they got their jewelry stolen out there? I'm not gonna say who might have been involved, but
We don't
I
know.
how people would have got into the locker room or whatnot. But
It seems like it's kind of hard. You would think it's hard to do that. That's all I'm saying, right? I don't remember
I think so.
Jerry Rice coming out the locker room being like, my number 80 gone. Or I don't remember Pac-Man Jones coming out the locker room saying, somebody took my Pac-Man. Like, I don't remember this happening at, big NFL college stadiums, people getting their stuff missing or stolen like this. So if there was a such thing as an inside job, this would probably be it.
Jewelry Gate.
Come on, man. Come on,
Your
man.
fault.
Yikes.
But they should have known. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. You went to LA and all eyes was on
You did. You don't want to be out here too flashy. You don't want to be out here. Yeah, because it'll come back and bite you. So be careful, brothers. Y'all be safe out there, man. Y'all be safe out there, bros. Yeah.
Please
All
do.
right, moving on. This week, what do we got for this week? College football,
Hold on.
exciting football games we got coming up. We have
Notre
Dame, Clemson.
Is it
Clemson.
exciting?
It is, because here's why. Clemson just took another L. They just took it on the L again. They just took another L. If Dabo Swinney takes another L, now all of a sudden, Clemson goes from this Power 5 conference team that's always in the BCS to only winning, 6 or 7 games in the season. This could be a really bad look for Dabo. So, yeah, it's an important game. It's a big game. Notre Dame, Clemson, 2 big schools. Saturday, going to be a big game. We'll see. I don't think Clemson has a shot to win this game, by the way. I don't think Clemson has a shot to win this game.
That's what.
Another big game that I think we should kind of pay attention to, that you might not think you want to pay attention to, is Georgia versus Missouri. And yeah, you might think, give me a break. The number 1 team in the nation playing some school that I don't even know where they're located on the map. I'll say, slow down just a minute here. Missouri is a really good team. Their offense is clicking. They have a really good defense. Georgia has to go on the road to play Missouri. And Missouri has a kicker who can kick 60-yard field goals. So if they even get near the 50-yard line, they can kick field goals to keep pace with Georgia. What they would have to do, though, is slow down that passing attack that Georgia has with the wide receivers. Missouri has some really good defensive backs. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people expect it to be. I think that if you watch this game, it's going to be a lot more entertaining than you might expect it to be. Honestly, I think Missouri has a chance to actually beat Georgia this weekend. I think the Georgia Bulldogs should be on upset alert versus the Missouri Tigers.
Now, that's a grenade if I haven't heard one this month. And I have it because it's the first. So
there you go.
We'll take that grenade to the bank.
All right.
Last but not least, game of the week. Alabama versus them LSU Tigers.
Alabama is the
got?
team to beat, right? Because Alabama is on the roll. Alabama is leading in the SEC West right now. LSU already has 2 losses. Alabama only has 1. This is a big game for Alabama, which is why I believe Chip Kelly's going to have these boys ready to play. Listen, every team in the SEC loves to play spoiler. There's no bigger game to get up for than the game to play spoiler for someone else's season. And Chip Kelly has the opportunity to play spoiler to Nick Saban. Chip Kelly don't like Nick Saban. He really don't. And this is going to be a game where you're going to see how much Chip Kelly don't like Nick Saban. I think he's going to let out all the stops. We're going to see trick plays on special teams. We're going to see him going for 4th down conversions. We're going to see the whole kit caboodle on Saturday. Chip Kelly's going to try to do everything in his power to not lose to Nick Saban, and I think he's going to beat him.
Incoming! I thought we had a grenade already.
No grenades, man.
This dude is going kamikaze today. We got 2 grenades in the building. We got 2 grenades in the building today.
Missouri takes down Georgia. LSU takes down Alabama. Yeah, big weekend.
Grenade or not, I tell you what, if this comes into fruition, y'all can't tell us that South Florida Ave ain't the place to be for the sports that you need to know about and what you need to hear. So please stick with us. Thank you for joining us every weekend, every week out. It's only going to get better from here, folks. We appreciate y'all.
We're growing the channel. We're on YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow South Florida Ave on YouTube. Please like, click, subscribe, follow, go to the videos, like, watch, share with your friends. We appreciate the support, you guys. Seriously, we appreciate you. Bro, love you.
Till next time.
Next time, bro.
Peace.
Later.